Hello. So I know I'm kind of late with this review, but I had some things to do. So I did see this movie when it first came out. I actually saw it on the midnight premiere, and I let it sink in just so I can review this properly. So I have my notes out right now. And before I get into my notes, my general opinion of Evil Dead. I really like this movie. Think I thought it would turn out bad at first, mainly because I'm not a fan of remakes, especially horror movie remakes. But as far as remakes go, I actually really enjoyed this. I mean, the last horror movie remake I saw was Friday the 13th, I guess, and that was really disappointing. So I was not expecting a lot from an Evil Dead remake. I mean, they've been tossing around that idea for a while, and I never thought it would have actually gone through until, now. But yeah, I actually really like this remake, and mainly it's because like Sam Raimi and Bruce Campbell had a lot to do with this. Um, does this have flaws? I mean, yes. Okay, let's start with the flaws. Things I didn't like about the remake. It's actually missing. I mean, okay, of course the Evil Dead movies are supposed to be scary, but it's missing that trademark humor that you see in like Evil Dead 2 and Evil Dead in well, Army of Darkness, technically Evil Dead 3. It was straight up horror, and that's not bad. That I mean, I like horror, but it's sort of a trademark that Evil Dead is something that you don't really take seriously. I mean, it's still scary, but it's something that could also be lighthearted. Um, I guess that's more of a nitpick than an actual complaint. I mean, if you're one of those die-hard fans who loves the humor, then I could see why you might be disappointed with this movie, but um, personally, it's more of a nitpick because I didn't really miss the humor. I noticed the lack of humor, but it didn't really diminish from my experience. It might diminish if for any someone else, but anyways, besides the humor, legitimate criticisms. The acting was, would say bad, but uh, I don't really see a future for these actors. I mean, that's mean, but I mean, let's face it, these actors. I mean, it wasn't some of the best acting you'll ever see, and also it was somewhat predictable. And most of the predictableness of this movie came from the fact that the characters are really stupid. I mean, characters in horror movies tend to be stupid, but I mean, it's just it almost feels like a parody at some points. Like they're making fun of how stupid these characters can be. Like there's literally a part in Evil Dead where um they do this thing where the first girl who gets possessed is put in the basement, and another girl runs into the cabin because like she needed to get what did she need to get again? I forgot what she went into the cabin to get something, and the door to the basement's open, and she peeks in, and the girl who got possessed is talking in her normal voice, and fans of the original movies know that those possessed tend to like trick people by switching back to their normal mode. And oh my God, the girl actually goes down into the basement because she thinks the possessed girl's okay. I mean, it's that kind of stupidity that you would expect in a horror movie, but it's kind of like amplified in this movie. And I mean, that too could be a nitpick because it's a horror movie. I mean, it's supposed to be fun. I mean, going into the good points, I feel like this movie, if taken too seriously, would not be enjoyed. I mean, you gotta enter this movie with like the with mindset that this is a horror movie. You're not watching something that's like intellectually challenging. I mean, I'm not saying that you should lower your standards. I mean, you should treat this as like a horror movie. I mean, It has good gore. It's actually terrifying, which is kind of rare nowadays. Nowadays it's just either movies are very gory but not actually scary, or very scary but little to no gore. I mean, this movie manages to balance it. Like it builds up, there's like build up, adding suspense, and the payoff is gore. I mean, it's a good balance, and it's actually good storytelling. I mean, even though it's predictable, it, I mean, stories don't have to be like mind-shatteringly like putting twist in every single corner. I mean, like some of the predictableness actually adds to the horror. Like you know that this is gonna happen, and it's the dread that like you are expecting this bad thing to happen that makes it scary. I mean, that's how, so maybe predictableness is not a criticism, but maybe a nitpick. It's up to you, but I thought it worked fine. And honestly, this movie is just fun. I mean, first off, it's respectful of the source material. I mean, of course, okay, it's missing the humor, but I feel like watching this movie feels like I feel like I'm watching the first Evil Dead if it had a budget. And I mean, like, I'm not asking for a lot. I'm just asking for a remake that doesn't totally crap on the originals, and it didn't. It was, as an Evil Dead fan, I love the remake, and leaving the theater just like I just had a pump of adrenaline. I mean, this movie is just so much fun to watch. Like, I haven't had that much fun in a theater since I guess the Avengers, Dark Knight Rise. I don't really remember, but yes. This is my review of Evil Dead. Really liked it. Not for everyone, due to the level of gore, and if you don't like scary movies, I highly recommend not to watch this movie. But if you can handle it, it's definitely a treat.